Continuing with plantae. Plantae are multicellular, as we all know, eukaryotic, autotrophic. Why autotrophic? Because they can synthesize their own food. And what do they need? They need chlorophyll, they need sun's energy, right? Photosynthesis process. Same way, what is other basic thing that is indifferent is they have a large central vacuole and rigid cell wall, which is made up of cellulose. Now, when we talk about the mode of nutrition that we have already discussed, it is autotrophic. What do? They are mostly non-motile. Do they reach here and there? Do they move? No, we never see them moving. They do not show movement in terms of their locomotion, right? Because they are generally in the ground itself and they are being anchored to the substratum. There are few forms which are free floating in fresh water or sea water. They show locomotion over there. But in terms of locomotion, we say they are non-motile. And yes, if they show movement, that movement is all in response to the hormonal action. Then growth is indefinite. And new organs are continuously added throughout the life. Continuously added throughout life. They are the producers of the biosphere. Always remember, when we say that we are talking about kingdom plantae, we are talking about the producers of the entire biosphere. Now, we are moving to further the last one, that is the Animalia. When we say Animalia, we know the basic characteristics of all the animals, that all the animals are multicellular, non-green. They do not have cell wall and they show complexity of organization. Right? Further, there is a big division that is going to differentiate all the plantae, and phylums going to differentiate all the Animalia. Remember, divisions in plantae and phylums in Animalia, which are going to divide them further on the basis of similarity in their characteristics in different zones, in different levels. We are starting with plantae first. When we start division of this plantae, we see that whenever these plantae are further divided, we do a little layout diagram first, a kind of flow chart where we say plantae, when the plant body is not well differentiated, we call it algae. When the plant body is differentiated, we call it in a higher category, but over there also we have to differentiate whether do they possess vascular bundles or do they not possess. When they do not possess vascular bundles, okay, vascular bundles or vascular tissue matlab xylem and phloem, we are talking about xylem and phloem, the conducting channels. They fall into a category which we call bryophytes. When they possess vascular bundles or these vascular tissues, we divide them into further two categories. The ones which do not produce seeds. When they do not produce seeds, we call them pteridophyta. When they produce seeds, we call them Either they produce naked seeds or they produce the covered or enclosed ones. That means the seed is inside fruit. So here in this category, when they bear naked seeds, we call them gymnosperms. And when they bear seeds inside the fruit, we call them angiosperms. Okay. So the kingdom Plantae, they include 5 divisions. The first one is alga. The second one is bryophytes. Third one is pteridophyta. Fourth one is gymnosperms. And fifth one is angiosperms. Right? Alga, the most primitive. Do not get differentiated into true root, true stem, true leaves. कुछ नहीं होता इसके पास. True stem, leaves, roots, nothing is there. They are thalloid, thallus-like. And when we say about their nature, where do they mainly grow? They are aquatic. Predominantly they are aquatic. Means they occur both in marine water, fresh water. Some are terrestrial also. They grow in moist places. We see algae in moist places. They possess sometimes the photosynthetic green pigment, which help them to synthesize their own food. That's why we call them photoautotrophs. Okay, and they come with various additional accessory pigments like red, brown, yellow. Accordingly, they are classified into various categories or various groups. And when we talk about the bryophytes, we say bryophytes. These includes the simplest land plants, simplest. They are terrestrial, but they require water at every step in their life cycle. That's why they prefer to grow in moist and shady places. They mainly produce gametes and then they have vascular tissues, but these vascular tissues are completely absent kind of. They show it a little conduction of water. Then sex organs, they are multicellular. That means they bear both, that are antheridia as well as archegonia. Antheridia for the male sex organs and archegonia is the name used for the female sex organs. Alright, then we move to pteridophyta. Pteridophyta, they are sporophyte bearing. That means they mainly produce spores and they have the vascular bundles, means they show vascular bundles in them. That's why we call them the first vascular land plants. All the parts of the vascular tissue, they are organized in definite areas. Okay, and they too are producing antheridia and the female sex organ archegonia. Flowers and seeds are not produced here. Please make sure flowers and seeds are not produced. Okay, they are further divided into thallophyta, bryophyta. We basically concept based we divide them. Then this alga, bryophytes, pteridophytes, they are these 3 divisions. Basically they are mainly the simplest prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms. So we divide them in a category called cryptogamy. Okay, ये जो 3 है ना, alga, bryophytes and pteridophytes, these 3 are included in a category called cryptogamy. Why? Those gametes which do not produce, or those plants which do not produce external flowers or seeds, they have reproductive organs, but these are hidden. The common means of reproduction is by spores. They are flowerless, they are seedless, they are lower plants. That's why we call them cryptogams. Bryophyta, pteridophyta, thallophyta, they belong to this category. Okay, and when we talk about this gymno and angio, they belong to phanerogamy. Phanerogamy, the ones which produce external flowers and seeds. They can be differentiated into true stem, leaves, roots, and their vascular bundles are also present. They form a vascular system. They are more complex. They are not the lower ones, they are the higher plants. Okay, Gymnos are the ones which produce naked ovules. Which naked ovules means the ovules are not enclosed within the ovary. There is no structure outside. When fertilization takes place, ovules develop into seeds and the mature seeds are not enclosed within fruits. They do not have flowers. And these angiosperms, the only ones, the only gifted ones which bear flowers. They include those vascular plants in which ovules are protected inside the ovaries. After fertilization, ovule will develop into a seed and the fruits are formed. This is a different example. So angiosperms are blessed to have flowers. Then we divide angiosperms into dicots and monocots. We say angiosperms are further divided into monocots and dicots, right? Here dicot means or monocot means, as the name suggests, mono means it possesses a single cotyledon, right? And here dicots, they possess two cotyledons. There are two more differences when we have to differentiate monocots and dicots. We say these plants bear fibrous root system, leaves show parallel venation, what is this fibrous system? Is root fibrous system SA, fiber type. And parallel venation means this one, where the main vein and the lateral veins, these cannot be distinguished. These are parallel veins. Here we see it has a prominent tap root system and leaves show a reticulate venation. Reticulate is mesh network. See, this is the taproot system proper, and reticulation venation. Reticulate is when the leaves, they show this kind of venation. This is reticulate venation. Alright, this is the category of plants, that is angiosperms, specifically into monocots and dicots. Now moving to animalia. When we say animalia, how do we classify animals? On the basis of, first of all, their level of organization. That means whether they are cellular or at a tissue level or at an organ level. This is the first point. Secondly is the body symmetry. What is that? Body symmetry is something that we talk about in which way the organism can be arranged on the, basically when the animal has different parts, how are these parts arranged, and if we have to cut the organism, what is the symmetry that we follow? Is it spherical, is it radial, is it bilateral? So one of its three kinds of symmetry, spherical, radial or bilateral, every organism possesses it. And if the body of the organism cannot be divided into equal parts in any plane, we call it asymmetrical. Alright? Asymmetrical. When we cannot divide the body into equal parts. Okay? Otherwise, either it is symmetrical symmetrical, it can be radial, bilateral, okay, on the basis of division.